May I come in?
Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, please sit down, Vidyanshu.
Thank you, sir.
Vidyanshu Shekhar Jha.
Yes, sir.
Where do you draw your name from, you see?
Sir, my mother's name is Vidya Jha. Since Vidyanshu name means part of Vidya, so they named me Vidyanshu.
Okay. Have you heard of, this personality called Vidyapati?
Yes, sir, I do.
Who was Vidyapati?
Sir, he was a very prominent Mithila writer of poems, as far as I am aware. We have annually Vidyapati festival in Jharkhand region in his memory. So,
In Jharkhand?
he belonged to Mithila region, but I lived in Jharkhand, and every year we have festival for Vidyapati, sir.
In Jharkhand?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because a lot of Bihari community lives in Jharkhand as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we have, and I have heard some stories about him, his encounter with God Shankar, but I am not aware in very specific. But he is a very famous poet, this much I know.
Do you remember anything of his poems, you see?
No, sir, I don't.
No. And your father belongs to Darbhanga.
He was born in Darbhanga, then he shifted to Ranchi.
Have you ever been to Darbhanga?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay.
Till my grandparents were alive.
Okay. What is the origin of this name Darbhanga? Where from did this name come?
Sir, I'm not aware.
Can we break this Sandhi Vichhed समझते हैं?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I don't.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Dar and Bang.
So,
Okay.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm not able to.
Achha, before we proceed further, Vidyanshu, tell me, what is your optional?
Sir, my optional is anthropology.
Anthro. And when is your interview scheduled?
6th of March. 6th March.
6th March. Is this your first interview in UPSC?
Yes, sir.
And is this your first attempt?
5th attempt, sir. 5th attempt.
Oh, 5th attempt. Okay. So currently, what are you doing, Vidyanshu?
Sir, after graduating in 2017, I started preparing for this exam. Initially, I met some failures. There were some learning lessons. Recently, I got opportunity to write both Civil Service and Forest Service mains, and I cleared both of them. Last month, results came. And all this while, my family has been supportive that you have taken up a noble exam, so we will support you. You continue with your studies.
So for the service, the results are out, final results?
Sir, mains results came.
Oh,
Interview
mains
might happen in May month, I think. Schedule is yet not out.
Okay. I see you have got a very brilliant academic background, you see.
Thank you, sir.
9.4 and then 12th equivalent was perhaps, in points it's not given, CGPA. But BTech was 9.03 out of 10.
Yes.
So you could be a very eminent civil engineer. So why this thought of getting into civil services? Do you think civil engineering will not involve anything of civil service?
Sir, first of all, why civil services? Since very beginning, I had interest in reading about defense-related news, as mentioned in my hobbies as well. So from there itself, I got linked to other news related to how economy is related to defense, how geopolitics is related to defense. So I got exposure to these news as well. So I developed an interest. And in very underlying thing was a sense of concern for the country, that how good is my country in various parameters, economics, geopolitics, etc. So I thought civil services will give me an excellent opportunity to serve my countries in various areas. As for civil engineering related to civil services, sir, we have schemes like Manrega, which relates to construction, as well as a smart city scheme, development of road construction. So I think I will have valuable contribution to those things as well, being a civil engineer.
Okay. Can you name some really eminent civil engineers in India, you see? Current or earlier, past?
Sir, one is, I think, Vishwesharya.
Give me his full name, say.
Sir, full name I am not aware. Sri Vishwesharya, this is what I know, I'm very sorry. So his contribution was construction of lot of dams in southern India. Mulla Periyar Dam, I think, was built under his guidance. And then we have Metro man E. Sridhar, who is credited with development of Delhi Metro. These two I can recall, sir.
Okay.
Rest I will have to study.
Okay. And what is this thing called, BIS? What do we mean by BIS?
Sir, BIS stands for Bureau of Indian Standards. So for various type of things, say tires or automobiles, they establish standards as well as well.
But do BIS do anything for the standards in civil engineering?
They must be, sir, because their area is vast, but I am not aware in particular. Because in civil engineering we have building codes, so we have to abide by those building codes. About BIS correlation, I am not aware, sir.
How many building codes are there? You are saying building codes. So how many codes are there?
Sir, first of all, there is, for earthquake zones, we have a separate type of building code. For RCC designing or concrete designing, there are different type of building codes. And then every municipality has its own building code. Every state government has their own regulations. So it is difficult to give a number.
You really think that every municipality has a different building code? Is it building code or building bylaws? What is it you say?
Okay. Yes, sir. So, thank you for correcting me. Those would be building bylaws. Building code would be limited in number, but I am not aware in specifics.
Okay, but have you heard of National Building Code, you see? Is there something like NBC, National Building Code?
I think, sir, I have heard, but I am not aware of details.
And which is the organization, if by chance you know, which is responsible to develop and enforce the building code?
Sir, with your permission, I can try to attempt this question.
Yes, please.
So that might be Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, which is responsible. They have other bodies like HUDCO.
Do you think BIS has something to do with developing this building code?
Sir, it might very well have, but I am not aware in a specific.
Okay. My last question, Darbhanga and the northern part of Bihar is in which seismic zone, you say?
Sir, Darbhanga is very close to Nepal.
Yes.
And Nepal is quite active. So I think it should lie in zone
Nepal
4.
Is quite active
in earthquake activities.
Or what? Or fighting India?
No, sir. I'm so sorry. For in earthquake activities, for example, we had seismic activities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has a fault zone because Darbhanga is in proximity, approximately 100 kilometers. So I believe it should be in zone 4 or zone 5, but I'm not aware in specific.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any idea of the worst earthquake or the most serious earthquake which has taken place in Bihar?
No, sir. I'm not aware.
No.
Yes, sir.
1934.
Thank you, sir.
That's almost 100 years back, huh? Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Vidyanshu.
Yes, sir.
What was the earlier name of Jharkhand? Old name, prior to 1765?
Sir, I don't know, but it has regions.
But what does this mean, Jharkhand? What does it mean?
Sir, Jharkhand is derived from two words, Jhar plus Khand. So it is area of forest and wild. So that is why Jhari word we use in Hindi. So area of forest, because it is tribal inhabited and it has a lot of minerals.
Which are the bordering states?
Sir, on the eastern side we have West Bengal. Then on the southern side we have Odisha and Chhattisgarh. And in the northern side we have Bihar.
You have any disputes pertaining to the boundary line? No?
Sir, I am not aware of such thing because division happened in 2000 by an act of parliament, so they must have clarified things.
Okay. Anthropology is your optional subject.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Define anthropology.
Sir, anthropology is holistic study of human being, our culture, our society, our evolution. In a specific, sir, we study about Indian culture, Indian tribe, human biology as well. So this is how anthropology.
Have you seen the movie, the Planet of the Apes? Have you seen?
Sir, I have watched trailer, but not the movie. I am aware of its storyline.
Do you know what is it about? Vaguely.
Yes, sir. If I am correct, then it is about evolution of chimpanzees from their, apes, from common intelligence to increasing intelligence, and eventually they displace human beings.
Yeah, they control human beings later. Okay. Do you think it will ever happen? Or just is a fictional thing?
Sir, while movies are often far-fetched, it shows one thing, that humanity was wiped out largely because of a virus. So we have very recent encounter. So this can happen. What they have shown is that within few years, monkeys evolved in their intelligence from ape to human beings. This is quite far-fetched in anthropology, because anthropology says that approximately 8 million years ago, we first branched off from apes. First was Australopithecus, and it has taken us 8 million years to reach this stage. So I don't think any monkey can evolve this quickly when it comes to mental ability. It will take millions of years. And an ape line is quite different. We are human being. From Australopithecus, we separated. So I don't think they should evolve in that way.
Okay, Vidyanshu, what are your service preferences?
Sir, IAS first, then Indian Foreign Services, then Indian Police Services.
Indian Foreign Services, you said?
Yes, sir.
No, it's called just Indian Foreign Service.
Okay.
No S is there. Okay. Just.
Sorry, sir.
And third one, you say?
IPS.
IPS. Okay. Now, like if supposing you get into Indian Foreign Service, who is a diplomat and what does he do, he or she?
Sir, a diplomat is an officer appointed by a sovereign nation to work in regard to foreign policy. They work in their country as well, communicating with other nations, as well as they are deployed in other countries to protect interests of their home state.
When somebody says you're being diplomatic, what do you mean by that?
Being diplomatic would mean someone who tries to negotiate, promotes communication in a gentle way, resolving conflicts through talks, like that, I think, sir.
So who is a good diplomat, let's say? What are the attributes of a good diplomat?
Sir, few attributes would be protecting interests of your country, not being very aggressive, being polite and gentle. Also, at the same time, showcasing values of India, like we believe in tolerance, truth, non-violence. So these things should also be a part of how we handle other countries.
Should a diplomat not assert himself or herself in situations?
Sir, if situation demands, then of course, like recently there was a political debate that recently Indian diplomats are being very vocal. They are taking Western diplomats by their horn. So if someone shows us that, look, you are a third world country, don't mess with us, then of course we should assert our equality. But it must be based on equal treatment, equality, equal rights for everybody, protection of our rights, not in bullying somebody like other countries do.
What has happened to the non-aligned movement, non-alignment? Are we still non-aligned?
Sir, in the initial years, we started with non-alignment movement. We were the founder members after Banduran conference, and our vision was that we will be some kind of leader of the global south. So, but of late, after collapse of Soviet Union, we had to reprioritize our strategies. And in recent time, we are drifting away from Russia and we are coming closer to the US. So, and also we have become very pragmatic in protecting our interests. So I believe in this course, NAM has become little bit irrelevant for us. And we are becoming more proactive in protecting our interests by allying closer to the US. So yes, that being said, I think we should use NAM as an asset, because like we keep talking about our permanent seat at UNSC. So if we have a good hold over global south, if we can be a leader, then that will only strengthen our case.
Vidyanshu, have you heard of BRICS, an organization called BRICS?
Yes, sir.
What is it about?
Sir, BRICS term was founded by some US consultancy company, name I cannot recall. So it is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So it is a group of emerging economies that are expected to play a prominent role in coming years.
So do you think it's playing its role effective now?
Sir, it has both a strength and weaknesses because it includes a quite substantial amount of global GDP. Then India, Russia, China are very important international players. So I think yes, it has its due place, but because India and China have up and down relationship, we disagree on many things. And now Russia appears to be an authoritarian region, and now Russia is also slipping into China's ambit of control. So I think
Russia is slipping into
China's
ambit of control.
They are becoming more and more dependent on China day by day because how Europeans have sanctioned Russia. So in that way, they become.
But the Europeans are still buying oil, lot of oil from Russia, no? Still dependent on Russia, no?
Sir, as far as I remember, from January itself, EU is planning to cut off Russian oil purchase. They are still dependent on gas, but they are quickly looking to diversify it with Qatar and USA. So in that way, Russia is now becoming more and more dependent on China. So that compromises independence of BRICS nation because Russia might be very well interested in courting China and appeasing China.
Vidyanshu, my last question. Where do we now stand in the race for a permanent seat in the Security Council?
Sir, while we have a very proud history of being a member of UNSC 7 to 8 times, I think, and we are world's 5th largest economy, we can be a leader of global south, and we have world's 2nd largest population, soon to be largest. So of course we have tall claims. That being said, a permanent seat in UNSC requires amendment to UN Charter. That is easier said than done because UN Charter even today it mentions about enemy states from World War II. So if they haven't been able to amend that, then I believe chances are very less to arrive at that kind of consensus. And then we have a grouping uniting for consensus. So
you are not hopeful that India will ever make it?
Sir, I hope we become, but I don't think chances are there. Instead, what we should do is we should try to become a leader of global south as well as at the same time aligning better with Western world to protect our interest as long as we don't become member. But we should be hopeful.
Thank you, Vidyanshu.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Vidyanshu, amongst your hobbies, participation in Vedic camp and debate on environment conservation. Okay, there is a verse in Sanskrit which has been taken from Atharvaveda. I will translate that into English, then you will tell me what exactly that means. O Mother Earth, whatever I dig and collect from you, let it revive and flourish. Let me not pierce thy hurt, thy wound. I repeat, O Mother Earth, whatever I dig and collect from you, let it revive and flourish. Let me not pierce thy hurt, thy wound. What exactly that means? Just 3-4 words, not more than that.
Sir, I think it is about sustainable development.
That's right, sustainable development of natural sources. Prayer for that. Huh?
Yes.
Okay, good enough. Related with Jharkhand, there is a recent controversy related with Parasnath Hills. What exactly that is?
Sir, Parasnath Hill is the place where more than 20 Jain Tirthankars attained their moksha.
Okay.
So it has great relevance for Jain community. Government wants to develop it as a place of tourism, but the Jain community is opposing that it should be a place of worship. Because when you say tourism in general, then people will come, they will make videos, they will take selfies, they will throw food. So it might be insensitive to the Jain community. So they have been protesting against that.
What about ecotourism? And what has been done by the state government and the union government related with that controversy? What about ecotourism here? Eco-sensitive zone, was it declared by the union government?
I'm not aware, sir.
Okay, no problem. Related with defense news, you tell me that there are various items, defense items rather, which has been banned from import because we are manufacturing them in our country. And some more are likely to be banned by the year 2025. So how many items have been banned so far within the last 2 to 3 years, and how many items are going to be banned by the year 2025 to make Atmanirbhar Bharat?
Sir, I cannot give a specific number.
No, approximate idea.
Sir, there have been 3 negative import lists so far, if I am correct. and each list varies between 100 to 50 items that are banned. For example, like MF star radars are used in our destroyers. Then certain type of tires, assault rifles, 55 millimeter, 151 caliber howitzers. These are certain items that have been banned.
Okay. When Jharkhand was carved out from Bihar,
Sir, 15th November 2000 is celebrated as a statehood.
any specific reason that it was carved out on that very day?
No, sir, I'm not aware of a specific. I'm not aware of why it was that day.
Whose birthday?
Sorry, sir, could you repeat yourself?
Whose birthday?
Sir, I'm not aware, sir.
Hmm?
I'm not aware, sir.
What do you know about Bhagwan Birsa Munda?
Sir,
What was his main contribution?
Sir, Bhagwan Birsa Munda was a tribal leader because his area was encroached by Britishers for exploitation. So he stood up against that. The movement was against Dikus, the outsider. And he fought against that and he successfully expelled in the initial phase. Later on, he was captured. But his contribution in his fight led to British realizing
Good
that...
enough. You tell me whether at all a candidate who is an independent candidate and he is not from any national party or state party, can he become the chief minister of a state or prime minister of the country?
Of course, sir. My Jharkhand itself is an example. Our former chief minister Madhu Koda was an independent. He was the chief minister and it was only third instance in the history of independent
Which
India.
were those two earlier? Because I know only one prior to that. So, and you say that he was third. You might be correct, but just for my knowledge, can you tell me which were those two?
No, sir.
And I think that chief minister could survive only for 7 days, and he could not win the majority on the floor of the house. That test he could not win, and prior to that he resigned. There was only one, and he's the second.
Sir, I actually remember from my school days reading newspaper that this is third only occasion. I'm not aware of first and second occasion.
So when can it happen that independent candidate can be the chief minister of the state?
Sir, in case of Jharkhand, both NDA and UPA had nearly equal number of MLAs. So it all came down to independents who will support. So
if he musters the support of more than 50% of MLAs, then he can become. Can we say like that?
Sir, in this case, both parties went to please independent. So they gave a condition that make me chief minister and in that way I will support your government.
Okay. Related with anthropology, what do you mean by PVTZs? And how many PVTZs are there?
Sir, PVTGs stand for particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Earlier term was vulnerable tribal group, if I remember correctly. And specific number I can't recall at the moment. I think it is around in 70s. It is in 70s.
Yeah, right, you are.
And
so, who is the Union Minister for Tribal Affairs?
Sir, I think it is Honorable Arjun Munda, sir. He was former Chief Minister of Jharkhand.
Yeah, Mr. Arjun Munda. So, some of the bills related with Ministry of Tribal Affairs were introduced in the Parliament, the winter session of the Parliament at last. So, how many bills were introduced by Ministry of Tribal Affairs? And how many of them are passed by both the houses of the Parliament?
Sorry, sir, I am not.
And by now they might have become act because President might have consented. I am not sure, but I think by now these might have been consented.
I'll read about it, sir. I am not aware.
Okay. Any other bill about which you know that it was introduced in the Parliament and it is passed by both the houses of the Parliament in winter session held last?
No, sir. Because I was busy in two mains back to back, I could not get time to
Okay, related with Mr. Vishwesharaya. So his full name is Mokshagundam Vishwesharaya. Now, why do we call him Sir Mokshagundam Vishwesharaya? Sir, why do we call him Sir?
Sir, I can only try to answer this question. I am not aware in specific, if you might allow me.
Yeah.
Sir, because his contribution was immense and this is from British time, so Britishers might have given him that title, but I'm not aware. Or
Yeah, knighthood.
okay, sir.
AK 203, what is this? AK 203, and could it be an example of Make in India, for India, and for the world?
Sir, I see AK 203. It is being manufactured. It will be manufactured in India, in UP, as soon as
UP, yeah, Amethi. At which place?
there is a rifle factory, Amethi.
Ordnance factory. Huh?
Okay, sir. And sir,
So could it be an example of Make in India, for India, and for the world?
sir, I'll say it as it is having both pros and cons when you use it as an example.
No, the pros and cons are different thing.
I mean-
My question here is that could it be, not now, could it be an example of this, Make in India, for India, and for the world?
I would say, sir, only partly, not fully, because
क्यों ये मैन्युफैक्चर हम करेंगे, अपने लिए भी करेंगे और एक्सपोर्ट भी करेंगे?
of course, sir, we can-
डेफिनेटली इट कुड बी. अभी आज की डेट में नहीं है, लेकिन इसको है ऐसा एम. एनीवे, थैंक यू.
Okay, okay, thank you, sir.
What is the percentage of population, tribal population in Jharkhand? Roughly.
Ma'am, in India it is 7.4. In Jharkhand, it might be around 60 to 70%, but I'm not aware in
No,
specific.
it is only 36%.
Okay.
But it's called a tribal state. I mean, the general understanding is that Jharkhand is a tribal area. Why is it so?
Ma'am, majority of districts have significant tribal populations, and also because Jharkhand is mineral rich, every time we go for mineral exploitation, we encounter with tribal people. So that is why tribal issues, and
No,
the
you are-
reason why it separated was because of tribal issues.
No, your answer doesn't come to the point. The idea is that the entire state has a culture, tribal culture, and there are major pockets of tribal population. That's why people perceive Jharkhand as a tribal state. Although it is, strictly speaking, it is only 36% of the population. What is Chota Nagpur Tenancy Act? The basic feature of that act. Why was it brought about?
Initially, Britishers brought it to
Yes.
ensure that outsiders don't purchase tribal land.
Yes.
Even today, my parents cannot purchase tribal land because we are non-tribals. So the basic feature is only to prevent tribal land alienation, and tribal can exchange land among themselves.
Yeah.
And in certain cases, it can be done, but only with prior permission of government functionaries,
Okay.
ADM and SDM.
Okay. What about the status of women among tribals?
Ma'am,
Is
actually,
it like other communities and caste groups in India?
Actually, tribals have their own social institutions. So women enjoy largely in better role when compared to caste society. It
Yeah,
is an
okay.
egalitarian society for women, and that is why UPSC also asked 3-4 years ago that why sex ratio is better among tribals when
Yes,
compared to
yes,
caste society.
Yes.
And because they are also engaged in economic activities, so they have better position. And we have policy of Dahej Pratha in our society. There we have policy of bride payment, that because you are taking someone's daughter, you must compensate for that. So overall, it is very egalitarian and forward looking.
In favor of women.
Yes, ma'am.
See, Jharkhand state was created for the development of Jharkhand. But there are several serious issues even today as far as Jharkhand is concerned. Can you just list out one or two issues? I mean, don't have to go into details, just mention one or two issues.
Ma'am, first, because it is mineral rich, whenever we try for mineral exploitation, there is a extreme local resistance that they will not give up their land. Second thing is we are still under red corridor, so Naxal issue is still very prevalent.
Okay. What other issues, social issues? What are the chief issue among, especially among tribals? What is the main issue?
Because tribals have a very distinct socio-cultural institution, they still do not have very good faith in traditional units of governance.
That of course is there. But what is the main problem the tribals face?
Ma'am, they have.
Poverty, you know.
Of course.
The highest level of poverty is found in amongst Jharkhand tribals, you know. So you are living in Jharkhand, so you ought to know, you know, how these people are living. And second thing, their resistance to, you know, mining, etc. But you know, many of their lands have been dug up and left useless. Who is going to pay compensation to them? So the reverse also is true, you know. So you should look at problems from both sides. Now you are interested in external affairs matters, you know, international relations. He was asking you questions.
Ma'am, to be specific, I like to read about news media websites of USA. While I wanted to follow other countries as well, there is time constraint.
Yeah, it's very good that you have got a very good habit. But the, you see, you might have heard about the Ukrainian crisis. Of course, all of us have heard, and he has asked many questions also. The point is that this time, the Nobel Peace Prize was given to 3 countries, organizations in 3 countries. Which are the 3 countries connected with the Ukrainian crisis?
Ma'am, one of them is a human rights organization in Ukraine, and second one is similar organization in Russia.
Yeah.
Third, I am not aware.
Third is in Belarus.
Okay, ma'am.
He is I think it is a person, I had noted it down somewhere. I cannot pronounce that name, but 3 names.
Because President Lukashenko is said to be last dictator
Very
of
good.
Europe.
At least you have noted this, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Because, you know, in Russia, a human rights organization, getting a Nobel Prize, it's a very, very important thing, you know. See, that is one thing. Then I want to ask you about something called Ayushman Bharat. This is a new initiative of the central government. What is Ayushman Bharat?
Ma'am, because we still do not have very good government coverage of healthcare, so Ayushman Bharat gives 5 lakh rupees health insurance to entire family for a year, whoever are eligible in the following economic criteria.
Okay. Is it only for the family or for individual members, 5 lakh?
Ma'am, it covers entire family regardless of how many people are there.
Okay. And do they have a choice of institution? Can they go to any hospital in India, the beneficiaries?
Ma'am, in any government hospital and in private sector, private hospitals are encouraged to get impaneled in Ayushman Bharat scheme. So
they can go to the empaneled hospitals.
In private sector,
yes. Yeah. And suppose, you know, I am here. Can I register in Kerala? Ayushman Bharat? Can I avail medical facilities in?
Ma'am, health is a state subject. So state government must agree. I'm not aware of Kerala, but for example, West Bengal, I think did not agree to that. Because central government is providing, so it should be available, but state government must agree to that.
No, Delhi and West Bengal and all have not agreed generally to the Ayushman scheme. It's not that they are against somebody being treated there. You see, some of the state governments have better schemes. So which state has combined state and central scheme? Some states are very clever. They didn't like Delhi and West Bengal, they didn't say no. What they did was they clubbed both the schemes and taking most of the money from the central government. Which state is that?
Sorry ma'am, I'm not aware.
In India, which is the state which has the best healthcare facilities?
I suppose that should be Kerala.
No.
Okay, ma'am.
Tamil Nadu is the state. Kerala, of course, is also equally good, but Tamil Nadu is always cited as the example of good district. What distinguishes Kerala's healthcare from other healthcare in other states? What is so important about the healthcare in Kerala?
Ma'am, what I read about Kerala during COVID time is that they have very strong healthcare institution at local level, at village level, at community level, they are excelling. So while other states have state-run facility and district-run, they have local government.
It's a very good point. But more important?
This is the only thing.
You are coming from Jharkhand. You have seen Bihar. Which is lacking in Bihar and Jharkhand, and which is there in Kerala?
Sorry, ma'am, I'm not aware of.
Public health.
Okay.
Public health. You see, nobody bothers about public health. Public health means बच्चों को सभी घर घर में sanitation करना, उसका hygiene maintain करना, all these things, all public health means, that is a neglected item in Indian health. That is taken care of, People are concerned about public health at large, So I think you should read more about Ayushman Bharat. But what are the criticisms of Ayushman Bharat? Why do people say, oh, there is something wrong with this policy? What is it? You must inquire with one or two people, when you go back.
Ma'am, I can think of few limitations.
What are the limitations?
There is no universal coverage because hospitals have to be impaneled, so you just cannot walk into any hospital. Secondly, some hospitals and some doctors are over prescribing to get money.
Benefit. And accessibility is not there. Many refuse treatment. If it is below certain amount, they will not take the patient.
And I will cite a personal example. In my neighborhood, there is a widow lady. So she wanted health insurance. I told her that you are a widow, you have financial issues. Why are you buying a health insurance? There is Ayushman Bharat. Then I got a reality check within minutes. First of all, she is in Delhi. So Delhi state is not a participant. Secondly, beneficiaries are from socio-economic caste census. When that census was carried out in 2011, her husband was alive.
You said the point.
So that time she was not a beneficiary, and now she cannot avail. Now she is attained, unfortunately, widowhood. She is financially vulnerable, but she cannot be a beneficiary.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Vidyanshu, thank you. Can go out, we'll call you back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. May I come in, sir?
Please come. Yeah, please sit down, Vidyanshu.
Thank you, sir.
Vidyanshu, good performance.
Thank you, sir.
But you were to make a self-assessment. How many marks will you give to your performance?
Sir, I would rate myself average because...
Marks.
Out of 275.
Marks out of 275.
Maybe 160.
Okay, we are rating you a little better than that, around 175 to 180.
Thank you, sir.
You see, yeah. I think you have done well, as I said. And when is your interview?
Sir, 6th March.
6 months. You have just about a month's time, which is good. And this is going to be your first interview.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it? Okay. One thing which I generally things are okay, your articulation, your replies, etc. okay. It seems as if you are, while sitting, little crouching forward. I think you should sit comfortably with your back. Make yourself comfortable when you sit, so that you are not bothered, once the interview starts, about your rest at the back, and you are free of that. That affects, otherwise it works at the back of the mind. The second thing is that, one is that DAF is very important, both 1 and 2. As you would have seen, a lot of questions, they emanate, they are triggered by what is mentioned in the DAF, right from your name or mother's name, father's name, profession, this and that, etc. So work around DAF, the possible questions, which can be anything which you have written in DAF, that is one thing. That is something which you have given, so you know. The second is about the current affairs. What is happening around you, What has happened on the day of the interview in terms of the newspaper, headlines, etc., etc., like that. Now, as far as the current affairs are concerned, that is very wide, open-ended. So maybe now and the date of the interview, you have to take note of what are the important events, happenings in any field, whether it's sports or cultural, political, military, war, economy, India's budget, economic survey, all these things, judiciary, political, legislature, pronouncements, tussle, whatever issues are there, and work around them, okay? Keep yourself up to date. What is the newspaper which you are reading?
The Hindu and Indian Express.
I think you should, that is good, you should include one economic newspaper also. Mint, Economic Times and all that. That's a very important aspect. And be prepared for questions on the budget, economy, growth, you know, this war affecting the overall global, the impending recession or the ongoing recession in many countries, etc., etc. All these things, you see. So I think this is what should help you, and maybe just one or two mocks. I would say we feel don't go for too many mocks. That can become confusing. I think you come out well, you come out as a thinking person, your presence of mind seems to be good, your range of knowledge, depth of knowledge seems to be generally good. They are not expecting that you know everything under the sun. So as if you don't know anything, you can say you don't know and be normal about it. One doesn't have to be apologetic about it, you see, isn't it? And then move on. No, that kind of thing. Okay. Sir, do you have any questions, you see?
No, sir.
Sir, with your permission, few points. One thing, unnecessarily invite नहीं करना है question, particularly उस matter से related जो कि पता ना हो. For example, when I asked you about that whether at all an independent candidate can become Chief Minister of a state like that, you answered very well. There was no problem at all. Only thing which you mentioned that he is the third such type of Chief Minister. So if you don't know the names of other two, then there was no need to mention. Had I asked you like that, whether he is third or whether he is second, then you could have said, if you are knowing at all that there are other two also, there were other two also, then you could have said like that. Otherwise, there was no need at all. One thing. Second thing, 2 times at least you have said, if I am correct. Avoid such phrase. If I am correct, you have mentioned at least 2 times. So avoid this phrase, if I am correct.
So, sir, how should I put myself if I am not very sure?
No, if not very sure, then you can say, I think it is like that, though I am not very much sure. But avoid that as far as possible. If you are not sure, then simply you can say that you don't know. One more thing, I think chairmen have asked you the question related with civil engineers only. You mentioned the name of Metroman. Vishwesharaya was okay, and you mentioned the name of Metroman also. He was not a civil engineer, a mechanical engineer. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I think civil engineer से related पूछा गया था ना question. हाँ, तो he was a mechanical engineer. He is a mechanical engineer. You can say Metroman. You are a very good candidate. We wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
निकलना है इसी बार. No next chance. इसमें भी मेहनत करिए.
Would you like to know the name of your state before 1765?
Sure, sir.
Kukara. It was called Kukara.
Hukara.
Kukara.
What does it mean?
Yeah.
What does
It was called Kukara.
हुकारा वो है.
K-U-K-A-R-A.
K-U-K-A-R-A.
Like king.
What does it mean? King.
No, it doesn't mean king, but it, it is maybe a tribal name or something, maybe.
अच्छा उस reason को क्या?
Anyway,
Kukara.
this is new knowledge.
Kukara,
नहीं बताता
1765, before 1765.
We also learn.
बिरसा मुंडा से पहले का कुछ नहीं पता.
Okay, Vidyanshu.
Okay. Thank you,
All
sir.
the best. God bless.
All the best.
All the best, Vidyanshu.